Well, since we have a little bit of time, I wondered your response about MyLO having a lot of junk mail, and it is a problem. Well, it is a problem for us. In fact, I was away from my computer for 2 hours and we got 4. So
Yeah, I will be bringing that up. I'm not sure of what our options are right now, so it's definitely worth a look again. I know that the last work that they did was to help us cut down on the number of requests that try to create a MyLO account or try to like what is that called? When they request to join as a member, not to pay, but to become a MyLO member on your site. They were able to help cut down on those kinds of requests. So I just need to come to them with this about the actual contact form submissions, or the form submissions are
yeah,
an issue.
and if they need an example, I'd be glad to send them to you.
You don't have to send them. We know where to find them. So
Okay.
I'm
Thank
assuming
you.
that's your contact form. But
Yes, but it's coming
From Russia.
MyLO, yeah.
right, through the contact form. So I'm going to see what options we have to be able to limit those. And that
Okay,
would
great.
be
Thank you.
for globally.
Super, thank you.
For sure. So today's session, we're going to try to keep it a little short. It's going to be just its usual hour, but we're going to be talking about the join and renew form. Being able to create one of those using the built-in MyLO form. We're going to use the conditionals. These allow us to make certain questions either visible or required for some folks, and then optional for others. That's really, we've heard so far from a lot of folks that you don't want to have your renewing members filling out the entire form sometimes, especially when you have quite a few questions. We can set this up so that renewing members will have the option to fill out their full address, but won't be required like a new member will. So we're just going to start from scratch. Actually, I don't have a web form already set up. The cool thing about the MyLO web form is that you can create it as a page or a web form like I did here. The huge benefit about the web form content type is that this section is available. Content below form is not available when you add a page and then you want to start using the web form. This is just the ability to add stuff under the submit button. So when you're working with a web form on a page, you can't add anything under the web form, but when you've created the actual web form content type, like I've done, like I've done here, then you'll be able to manipulate under the submit button.
Maurice, it's
Yes.
Mary Jo. Would we be able to put a donate button there?
I would suggest that being on your confirmation page, having 2 buttons on one page.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. We want to make sure that they don't miss one opportunity for the other.
Okay. I wonder what other things they put in there. Okay.
Sometimes you'll see like a thank you message, or I can't think of any other examples. That's usually what I've seen, like just thank you for your support, so that they see it right before they click. But it's very similar idea to use your confirmation page for anything like that.
Thanks.
And that actually, sorry, I'm thinking it might be best if I actually work with my current join page, because that's probably what y'all are all working with. If we did want to see what it looks like to, create a new join page and swap it out, I think we did that last session, but we can certainly do that again. But it looks like I already started with a little question already. So I'm just going to keep going off of the web form to build that up. So my basic questions, I'm just going to keep adding these on. So let's go with email address. Text field is the most basic one, but for email, we actually have a specific one so that you can use the email function. We'll require that so that we can make sure the emails work if we want to send them one. And I'm going to just scroll down past. I've said this a lot. The descriptions for each setting are pretty. They're pretty good at explaining what each are good for. But for the most part, on many types of form components that you add, you probably won't need to edit many of the settings. Let's keep going. So now I'm just going to add address information that I want to get. So street, city, and zip will all be separate text fields. I've also seen the text area used, but it's all up to you on how you want to collect the data. If you want to have, you know, the entire address all in one paragraph block, you can do that and just have them fill it all in a text area. But text field is nice separate chunks of information. And I forgot to make it required there. As I'm creating this, my thought is I'm first creating it. Actually, I should probably make them unrequired. I'm going to first make it as if I'm making it for the renewing member. Then when I go to the conditionals is when I'll start making things required just for new joining members. So, and let me know if I'm going too fast, if I should explain any of the settings in between. I just want to make sure that we do get through the, actual meat of this. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and save that component and do pretty much the same thing for city. And again, I'll save. And I'll do one more time for the zip code and jump down to save. So I think I'm just going to go with that so far. I know that one of the others might be maybe the option of your type of membership, but I am going to add the question of, are you a renewing member or a joining member? That is what's going to, what we're going to anchor our conditionals off of. So this question needs to be answered for us to know which questions should be required. Are you a new member or renewing? And this one has to be select options since they have to pick one or the other. And again, we require that. I'll be able to rearrange this. I want it to be the first question. I'm just going to do that after I've actually saved it. So add that. And down here, I'm going to just skip to the options. I was going to add a description, but again, that's always optional. The options here, though, are required because then this is going to be the second half of the question. These are the visible options for the form. So are you a new member or renewing? So I could just make it easy on myself and write new member, and on the second line, renewing. So each line is a separate option. And for each option, there are two parts. So
Maurice, I am a little concerned because I look, very religiously at the information that the person is giving me to see if, their phone has changed or their address, email, whatever. So I'm just wondering, maybe you would go somewhere else where it'd say if your contact information has changed from last year or the last time you renewed or something, please answer as a new member. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not
Or
sure.
I guess what you're saying is that, I guess we would ask them to please fill it in, even though it says optional or something. I guess that's what we hopefully be doing. But I just want to
I
have
see.
some kind of reminder for them that if they're renewing, but their information has changed, please do complete the information even.
Okay.
Because, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I get that. Yeah, that is something that we can kind of a warning or message that we can throw into the form. There's a form component that we can use almost like a WYSIWYG box and throw it in the middle of the form. So let's say after this question of, are you a new or returning member? If they're a returning member, then we can make a conditional for that message to pop up and say, if anything has changed, please fill it out, even though it's optional. So I'll add that to the conditionals. Okay. So, whoops. That wrong. Okay, so new member, renewing member. So we have, what I want the form to show as each option. And then to the left of each option, I need to add a vertical bar. And to the left of that, there's a description down here. It's the safe key. So it's kind of like the nickname for this option. It's the machine readable option, or machine readable version of this option. So we can make it as simple as a 1, 2, 3 list, ABC list, or rewrite what you have, but just make sure that there are no spaces. Whatever you go with is going to work. And it doesn't even have to be a matching system, but whatever will help for you to fill that in. It is necessary to add those safe keys just because our system works with tokens, and we see tokens, let's see. In our emails, when a form submission gets accepted, we see the tokens in the form of the answers that are provided by each person. So and actually I'll show it in just a second. I'm going to save that.
All right.
Yes.
This is a very silly question, but where do you find the vertical bar on your keyboard?
It is on mine. It's on another slanted slash key, and it's under the backspace key.
Under backspace. Oh, okay.
It's the top. Shift.
Exactly. So you have to hit shift to get to that one.
And you put that right at the beginning of the option, then sometimes to say, okay, great.
Okay, so I have a backslash, and then I have a shift above option, but it's 2 vertical bars, kind of like 2 little vertical bars like that.
I believe that is the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets the same job done, because I don't believe that there's any other vertical bar on the keyboard. At least if you have a number pad, you have some doubling up of some of your punctuation, but that should be the same version.
Okay, thank you.
Even though it looks different, the key, it shows up as a vertical bar on your screen.
I'm not sure of how it shows up, but it is interpreted the same. Oh, it does?
Yeah, and when I use that, it shows up as a vertical bar.
Oh, perfect.
I was wondering also with the token names, are those also the names that show up when you download the form as the headings of the columns? I mean, if you have people put the forms in and then you get a database of all the forms and you can download that, I think those are the field names, right?
Yes, I don't think that the form will, or the column names, the field names, I don't think they'll go as deep as each option. they will probably go as deep as the question. You know, this is,
Oh, right, okay.
so
Yeah,
it's
so
kind of
that's-
like a, what was that, Maddie?
So the, you know, what you're giving us now is what's going to be in the column. It's not the heading of the column, right? The
Right.
options are in the column.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And that is just, you know, Maddie's talking about when you download the data, it's in a spreadsheet and each question is the column. And then I believe each row is, you know, each submission of each user that submitted.
Yeah.
Okay. So new member and returning member. We don't want to allow multiple or other, and we have it required. Okay, I am going to go ahead.
Maybe those tokens show up in the column as the value. I think that's what I've seen.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't downloaded one in a while. Since we're talking about tokens, I want to just show off the, so I've gone to the email settings. I want to show the template of a basic email. So this is by default the format that it comes up in, the template, I mean. So you get the top line of a submission date and time. If the person has a MyLO account and was logged in, then you get a username here. But regardless, submitted by user will still be there. It just will be followed by a blank if nothing is provided. And then submission values are, this is the token for all of the questions and answers. So if somebody didn't provide questions to some of the answer, or they didn't provide answers to some of the questions, those questions will still show up for you in the email. So that's the cool thing about tokens, is that it stands in one place and you don't have to change it, and it represents, you know, every single different submission just based on whatever value it's pointing at or field it's pointing at. And whenever there are tokens available to use, you always have this link to click. It is a long list and it is a lot to load, so it may take your browser some time to load. So if you're ever prepared to click that, just make sure that it's probably best if you're working with, you know, fewer tabs, and it'll give the chance for it to load properly. But okay, let's go back to the form components. Since I now have that question, are you a new member or renewing member? And I'm just gonna slide that up to where I want it. And we'll save. So, okay. So far, let's just take a look at it on the screen here. Okay, perfect. So we're going to start first just with this question as our anchor here on the conditionals. Are you a new or returning member? So we'll start off adding with the, you know, the plus sign, adding a new condition. So by default, it's just sitting on the first question. If yours is not the first question, just move it to whichever, you know, one you're looking for as the anchor for this. So if you are a new or renewing member, is new member, then street address is, we can make it so that it's only shown to new members or only required to new members. Set to probably doesn't apply here. So required is what we want to do. I can actually add to this conditional, you know, the other option would be to add a brand new conditional, and I would set it up the same way here. You know, if are you a newer member renewing, is new member, then you know the next form component will be required. But instead of starting with a brand new condition, I am just going to use the plus sign that's on the, excuse me, that's on this, the bottom here. You know, there's the first row, the second row, and then the new conditional controls here are off to the right. I'm going to use the second row plus sign. Oh, okay. Before I can move on. So when you are using the conditionals to make something required, you do need to make it required from the start. So that is one thing that I had forgotten. I'm going to see if I can save that for now. No, sorry. Okay, we'll come back to make this. Let me go back to the form components and require everything. Okay. So all those, and we'll imagine we have, you know, a billion more questions. Like maybe you have the question of what are your interests, whatever it may be. And you know, sometimes you probably don't need to know those of renewing members. So we would require everything, you know, regardless of if you want renewing members to fill it in or not, because we're going to make that decision on the conditional side. So everything's required. Now let's come on back and try that again. Okay, so adding again a new condition. If are you a new member or renewing is new member, then try that again, street address is going to be required. And then again, let's add to the second half. We want to add another then. So this time, instead of street address, we're going to do city and will be required. By default, the other two fields, the other two form components, name and email address, those are just going to be required for new or renewing members. And now let's add one more then. And this time we could add it here or here. I'm just going to keep going in the order that we had. And since zip code sits under city, I'm just going to add it under. But it would be the same thing if you added it in the middle. But we'll save those conditions. And now they'll save since we've made those required on the form component side.
Maurice,
Yes.
how did it, the step before this, like how did it know to ask the if? So it said if, and how did it know what you wanted to put in there?
The only reason it already had my question selected was because I placed it first.
First, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you had it somewhere down the list, then you would just select it yourself.
Okay, thanks.
Jan.
Sorry. Yeah, shouldn't it be if you are a renewing member, street address is not required because it's required, you set it up as required to begin with. So really it's the renewing member that you're doing something different for.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yes. Well, let's see. It would be easiest how you're saying it, Jan. I will say though, it is working as we're hoping the way that I set it up, but let me go ahead and show the easier way like Jan is talking about. So hopefully I can unrequire them without messing with the conditionals yet. So, oh, we're already here. Let's unrequire. So we're starting out as we were first thinking that, you know, you think of it as a renewing member, and then we'll lay it on top with the conditionals as a new member. So we'll save that. Okay, and then let's go to the conditionals and update there. Yeah, I knew it was gonna scream at me. So let's just make that change. So this time we're flipping the script. So instead of new member, renewing member. And then all of the ises are going to turn into isn'ts. So instead of starting with the form components as all required, we're only requiring the ones we want for everybody, and then starting out with unrequired or isn't required. And we'll save that. Yeah, I think that I think it makes sense since we're trying to say it is not required, but we haven't made anything required. So unfortunately, it won't work this way. Sorry. So the first method that we were talking about, you do need to make everything required, and then you're able to manipulate it, like toggle it off at that point. Unless the required setting is turned on, then we can't make it not required. So, okay. Whoops. Okay, so coming on down. So when we are at, we haven't
anything with that conditional because it's already required. So that's why I'm saying you have to make it the other way around. You have to flip it. Now that you've got things that are required, you need to say, if you're renewing, it's not required.
With them currently?
You've got everything required, that's good. But now you need to flip your conditional to say, if you're renewing, it's not required.
Okay, let me see if I can try it while I have things required in the form components. I'm gonna try just doing that instead. So instead of the new member, we're doing the renewing member, and everything isn't required. So let's see if that changes how the form looks at the beginning. Okay, I think we're on the same page now, Jen. Before, when we had it the other way around, when our conditionals were they were pointed at the new member saying, if you're joining as a new member, then certain things are required. The way that the form was looking, these were showing up as optional. So now I think this is a better way of coming into it. It's probably best to assume that the people filling out this form are always new members. Just always assume that. It's probably better, so that if they mess up and overfill out a form, it's better to have too much information than not enough on a new member. Okay, thanks, Jen. That is a much better way. And we click new member, we don't see a change because again, it's the same. And then renewing member, that's where we see the difference. Any other conditionals? I know I didn't add, I wanted to add that message. Let me do that and then we can open it up to any more things you want to see on the form. So Mary Jo had asked about, maybe a message about, or a reminder message about, renewing members can still fill out stuff if they need to update anything. So when we want to type in, have control of the formatting of what we're writing in to a form, that form component is markup. So the label here, the new component name, is not going to show to the public. This is just for us to know what the markup is. So reminder, I'm going to make it short so that it's just kind of easy to see. Message to renewing members. And we don't need to make it required since there's not going to be any, option or submission from them on this one. So we add that. And we come down to values. So this is where we see a a familiar, paragraph WYSIWYG box. And I don't know, I'm just going to start writing. Knowing members can fill now entire form to update info. Something of that nature, and then we can format it. I'm just going to center it and add the notice to it. And the default option is for it to display on the form only. If you wanted it to also be a reminder to them, if, let's say, if you have the form or the person who submitted the form receiving a copy of the email, you might have it, oh, actually, the viewed submission, I think, is online. So never mind. It's just the form only that will be helpful to the user. The viewed submission is for webmasters. So if you wanted the webmaster to be able to see that, let's say on the results tab, that's where you change that. But form only is good. Save the component. And then we're going to move that up. Just again, so that it's right under the option, and it'll help them see it right away and not miss it before they fill out the form. And now that we have that, I don't want it to show up the whole time. Let's take a look at it. If I'm a new member, I don't really need to see that because I've told you I'm not renewing. So we're going to add that conditional for it to only show up for renewing members. And again, I can just build off of the, if that's already there. Since it is the same if that I would be building, I'm just adding another then with the plus sign, the last plus sign on the left. So my then is going to be message to renewing members, and it would be shown. And actually, I think I have to do that backwards again. Sorry, it's going to be actually the new member. So just like we had thought earlier with Jan, it was the opposite. It's already being shown. So what we want to do is say when it should not be shown. So when they are a new member. Let's save that.
Can you cause it to pop up after they click that's renewal? Or
that's what I'm attempting to do.
okay.
And it is telling me I'm not able to do that way. So I'm going to try the first way I was thinking. I didn't think I was going to be able to. I'm going to just refresh my page here. So instead of creating a new condition, I'm going to try what I was first trying to do. So message to renewing members is shown. So let's save that. Okay, it liked that much better. So again, just focusing on the renewing member, and then the message should be shown only when that one's selected. Okay, perfect. So we will only see it when the renewing member is selected, and it goes away as soon as new member is selected.
That's really great. I think I'm going to change our form to do this.
Yeah, it's nice. And especially when on the onset of it, the page refresh, it's not there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
because
helpful.
people have complained about having to fill everything out every time. So that'll be a nice fix for that.
Yeah. And, you could also even, I don't know, you can get really complex with the conditionals. If you want certain fields to be shown for some rather than required or unrequired, you have those options with the conditionals, especially when you have question, like a lot of select options type questions. Those are what give you a lot of the flexibility with the conditionals. Any questions or things you want to see in the form? Okay.
Did we want to investigate putting something on the confirmation page about
Oh, yeah.
donating? I don't know.
Yeah, let's work on that.
That's good. That's good.
So we know that if you want to test out your form, you have to fill it out. One way of getting to, and so if you test it and fill it out, that's one way of getting to your confirmation page. Another way of getting to it without filling out the form, we add on to the end of the URL /done /DONE. And that jumps us to the confirmation page that's set up. Oh, look at that. I have something on here. I don't know whose this is, but I must have pulled it from somewhere. So let's take a look at how I've set that up. So through the web form tab to form settings, I have the confirmation message here. Whoops. So why don't I swap this to WYSIWYG so we can kind of walk through it. So by default, the confirmation page, and I might have a default one here. Okay, by default, this is what a confirmation page looks like. It's just going to say, thank you, your submission has been received. This link always stays on the form. So if you make changes to what your confirmation message is, it's all up here. The link will always just stick below whatever you add there. So I started out with the biggest heading 2 to add like a page title. And then this was just an example to separate it by payment type. This info about payment section will probably have check instructions and my address. And then the online payment was a PayPal button. Whenever you have added your PayPal code, we can only add it through the full HTML. But once you've added it, we do need to save it as full HTML each time. That, I don't know if anybody has any other questions about that section. This is like the default area for your confirmation message. If you wanted to get fancy and have an entirely different page, or you know, it could even be on a separate website, whatever URL you wanted to use, you could use that as your confirmation page instead. It would redirect to wherever you specify. So I know that there are a few leagues that use that option. It gives you some more flexibility to just have a bigger, you know, section to work with. Right now, for the confirmation message that's built in, you only get this one paragraph. If you're working with, let's say the custom URL that you provide is a separate page on your MyLO site, you know, you're able to add a main image on that page. You can add, I don't know, there's just you know, more flexibility in that. So you have that option. I don't know if Jan wants to speak on it, because I know that hers is set up really nicely as far as, I think it was the conditional confirmation pages, depending on their membership. Is Jan still here?
Yeah, what mine does is take you to a specific page depending on what level of membership you chose.
Nice. And that's through
I
not
use-
only the confirmation message, it's through like the form components, right?
I use tokens in the URL below that you were just showing, the redirect. Yeah, I was
I
using
see.
tokens. So I would assign a token when they chose to join as a regular member, or when they chose to join as a supporting member. So I was sending them different places, and those pages, I use the MyLO,
The node.
the node, right.
Okay. That might be, I might have to study up on your forms and we could make that another session. Yeah. Thanks, Jen. Lynette. You're muted.
I'm looking for examples of leagues that have this well set up, because right now we don't have a web form there. So the information that we collect about the new people is just what's available on PayPal. And so I was just curious as to what Jan's league was, so I could go look at her page.
Oh yeah. Orange Coast, right, Jan?
Orange Coast.
Okay, thanks.
And I can,
Lynette, if you want to just fill out the form and see what happens when you choose different things, that's fine. Just put your name as test, first name and last name, and then I'll know to ignore it. So anybody who wants to test it out that way, they can.
Okay,
thanks,
thank you.
Jan. Awesome.
Well, I don't know if you were going to look any further, Amaris, but on the
Yeah, I just wanted to show that off.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So right here. So I'm a little confused because, you were showing this page and it didn't have anything on it, but so a person pays and then they automatically go to a confirmation page, which I'm assuming we've got something like, thanks. But
Mhm.
then it looks like the redirection is saying it's either a confirmation page or a custom URL, but I thought we were at the confirmation page.
Right. You could
Oh.
use, so you are at the confirmation page. That's the default option here. The confirmation page is this, whatever we put in the message is what displays on the default confirmation page. But if you wanted to use a separate page, instead of this default, what's provided, then you could fill out the same stuff on a URL, like it would be a separate page that you have in your menu or, that you've created through MyLO, but you could still add the same elements. It's just a different way of having your confirmation page set up.
I think what Mary Jo is trying to say is, can you have a donate button, put in another PayPal logo, another PayPal message and say, add a donation?
Or at least like we could have the URL for the donate page or if you are able to donate, please click here or something. I mean, I don't know.
So if you do,
Confirmation page.
so if you do change, let's say if it was, if I did that, I want them to go to my donate page instead of this
But we want to
confirmation
thank
page.
them all, too.
Right. That's the only difference. If you change the custom URL to
Okay.
directly like the donate page, it is,
But we
there's
could
no
just-
notice.
But couldn't we just, I don't know, make that part of the text somewhere? I mean, I don't know, but like
You
it would be.
could, but it would be changing up your donate page where you might instead have a separate confirmation page that has your donate button or something. I think it probably would be better to have a dedicated confirmation page rather than sending them to one of your general pages on your site, so that you don't have very specific information for few people on your
But
donate
like,
page.
so like Jen's, asked about can we put a PayPal or a donate button on there? I don't know. On the confirmation page.
So they would be, I just want like the experience that they would have, they'd be filling out the form, they'd click submit, and they'd be taken directly to the PayPal payment, that could happen. So if
Well, no.
instead of, is that what you're thinking? Like,
No, okay, I know. I paid through PayPal or through my credit card.
Mhm.
And then I get a thank you for joining us, something like that. On that page, can we say, if you're able to donate, we'd really appreciate it, or something like that? I don't know.
is this after paying through PayPal?
Yeah, you're all finished. We're thanking them. And they were saying, you know, if you feel like donating, you
If
know,
they-
here's yeah.
If this is the point after paying through PayPal, then you have to set up that redirection location with PayPal.
Would it be possible, Mary Jo, to add a box check here if you want to donate in addition to your membership? And would PayPal then charge or add it up?
You, depending on how you've added your membership levels, you might add additional options for, you know, this is membership type 1, and then the second option is membership type 1 plus a $10 donation or something. I think we saw Liz had something similar, but I think she had separate buttons. But having that available as a built-in option might help for folks to just say, oh, okay, it's already there. I'll add those, you know, $10, $20 on top. Can't remember where she, oh, I think it was on the join and renew. Oh, it's on her confirmation page. I don't want to submit her form, but yeah, that is definitely an option to have separate, you know, buttons for donation and membership, as long as you make it clear that, you know, only part of it is donation. I'm going to see if I can get to her confirmation page. Any other questions while I'm just trying to poke around?
Wouldn't that be done?
What was that?
Wouldn't that be done? / done?
She's using a redirection location. She's changed it to a custom URL, so I wasn't able to do that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So here she has the basic, you know, just membership by itself, and then the single membership with donations, and the household membership with donations.
So that's actually not the confirmation. It's within the donate. Okay.
So this is, she's using this as her confirmation. I'll show you the admin page.
Okay.
So her redirection location, instead of the confirmation page, she's provided this custom URL, and that's the page that we're looking at.
Okay.
This one here. So this is what folks see after they click submit. They're taken to this brand new page that says membership payment. Thank you for submitting your form, and then they follow the instructions to pay.
Okay. And then you can give more. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so she made them all separate items, you know, separate payment buttons.
Oh, I see. The parentheses includes the membership, which they already paid. Okay.
Or the
will be
membership
paid.
it's $85.
Right,
is the
right,
single-
yeah.
Yeah, and then the total is with the donation. You could also, you know, make it a, no, I think this probably is the most visually, I don't know what the word would be, but it's the nicest, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other option would be to make it how I have here, where it's a list to choose from, but you don't get much, you really don't get space to describe what's going on with each option. You just get a place to name it, and that's it. So here, being able to like add the individual descriptions per button would be probably easier if you're thinking of going this route.
Okay, tell me again why we could not have something on there to say something about, thank you for joining, and if you'd like to, if you're able to donate. Why can't we give, and I know you said it, but I don't remember why can't we give the URL for our donate page?
It's not that you can't. So that's what they're doing here. You can provide the URL, but
Oh,
you want to make sure that they do complete the payment. So,
yeah, it's okay.
So maybe you provide
Oh.
the, it
Well,
just depends on
okay,
how
so
you.
after they join, after they do this page, do they get another page?
No, this is acting as Wheaton's confirmation page
All
for
right,
their join
okay.
renew form.
All right.
Yeah, so you totally can provide a link there. What we were talking about before was the redirection location, and that is cutting out this confirmation message. So we could, provide a link up here to donate if you wanted to, or wherever, but we could say, after you join, please donate something. I could be nicer about it, but this is just for an example. I'm going to highlight that and add the link for my donate page. I click that, it drops in the node, and I'll insert. Perfect. I do need to swap it back to full HTML so we can see my PayPal button come up, and we'll save. Oh, whoops. Change the redirection location back to confirmation page. I'm glad I did not set that up as my donate page. Okay. Now we can go ahead and go back to the confirmation page. So I'm going to add on /done. All right. Yeah, so there's nothing against having links, just making it clear to folks that they haven't finished will probably be helpful to you in the end.
So, again, excuse my ignorance. So
No.
you fill out the form,
Mhm.
and then there's some kind of thing on ours at the bottom where it says, click here to pay. And so it takes them to the page
Mhm.
where they pay. And so are you saying that that's our confirmation page?
Yes, the page where they go to pay is your confirmation page.
Oh, I was thinking that after that they paid, then they got another thank you. So it says thank you. It must say thank you right on the confirmation or on the page where you pay, right, Jennifer? I guess. I hope
I mean,
so.
probably. And then there is the other option of, of your original idea of after PayPal, where do they go? You can set up I would suggest a separate page. You probably don't want to send them through the loop of paying again. But having, a separate page that says like, thank you, you are officially a member or something. Like maybe you send them to a page of resources on your site, or I don't know. But it's nice to get them back to your site after they've finished their transaction with PayPal. Usually PayPal by default is going to send them back to MyLO. They may not get the person back to your site unless you specify exactly the URL. So you want to double check that.
Oh, do you remember, Jennifer?
No, but I can find out.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I'm not gonna do it while everybody's here.
No.
But yeah, I think it goes back to our front page.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually the default. If you don't have the page set up, having them go to your home page is the next best option. Because like I said,
they could go to the donate button, automatically go to the donate button.
they could.
I don't know.
Or you could have a separate donate page for them, or I don't know. you could even have a section on the donate page that's for new joining member or whatever it is. But yeah, you have the option to send them back to a specific page on your site. You could even send them to a specific section of a page on your site. It just depends on how you want to set things up. And that might be, I think PayPal sessions probably don't ever really get old.
No.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, just as an end user, I don't know that I'd appreciate, I mean, it does happen all the time, but I don't know if I appreciate being sent
Yeah,
for more money, because we
think
do,
so
we do
too.
have a separate campaign in February to ask members for money. I don't know. But like we said last time, this is a typical time for people to give extra.
Mhm.
Because they were either doing it in cash or what, you know, at that time, more people were writing checks.
Well, I mean, it might not be a bad idea to think of a lighter push of a
Yeah.
donate kind of button or page just for members. Because I understand you completely, Mary Jo, on that. I would feel the same way, like, I just came from PayPal and I'm getting sent to another page to pay. Might not be the best feeling at that moment.
Yeah.
Well, we can think about it. We can
Yeah.
argue about it, Mary Jo.
Well,
We can
I don't feel real
maybe-
comfortable with making the information optional because, you know, it's interesting when I do look at what people fill out, sometimes they don't have their cell phone anymore, or I mean, their landline, or they're choosing not to give it. That's probably the biggest change. Typically, people will tell me when they moved, you know, during the year, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, totally.
I don't think it's that big of a deal to fill it out, but you know, who am I?
Yeah. If you are getting, or if you are not getting complaints from folks,
I've never
then
gotten
it's-
one complaint.
Yeah, but
Myself.
that's definitely in folks' back pockets. If you are getting that from folks, that they don't need to fill out a form every year when things don't change for them. So, any last questions?
I want to wish Jennifer a happy birthday yesterday, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you
Happy
so
birthday,
much,
Jennifer.
You have a
Oh,
good
sweet.
memory.
I wish I was as good at web administration as my memory, but I'm
I don't
learning.
know, your page was impressive.
Well, you must, anyway, I'm learning from you all. So soon I'm going to have outline front page. So, but
Nice.
yeah, I remembered that because Liz's birthday was today and she couldn't.
Right.
Yes,
Oh, right.
and she's got a date.
Yeah.
Okay, so when our next meeting will be in 2 weeks then?
Yes, but before we go, I think, Jan, did you have a question?
I forgot what I was going to say. Know what it was. I was wondering if, you know what, when you fill in the fields for address and city, is that stored in their user account if they're logged in?
It is not. Yeah, I don't know if that is possible. There isn't any current like saving of data from a filled in form to save it to a profile. I can check in about that. I'm not too confident that there may be a solution that we could provide for that.
Okay.
Forms. But that is a good inquiry. Okay. All right. So yeah, next session will be in 2 weeks. I mean, if anybody has any objections, I think we could probably just jump into Jan's forms, build our own, maybe, if you guys want to see that. that will probably be an entire session, but if we have any time, we could get into PayPal as well. Or we could have those as two separate sessions.
I have to warn you, I'm not using PayPal. We chose to use Square.
Oh, nice.
We have PayPal.
Okay. That makes me wonder ever too. Does anybody else use Square? Jan is the second league that I've heard of that, at least on MyLO, that is using Square. Okay, all right.
I like it a lot. It's
Yeah,
really impressive.
yeah. This the state league, we're using it too. I will say though, I've never used PayPal, only for like these demonstrations, but I enjoy Square too.
Huh. Maurice, there was some, when I went to look for the link for the call today, I noticed that there was a message and you said something about will monitor or something. Was that to do with the junk mail?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're already done talking about that then. I guess you're just gonna, that we're having issues. Okay.
Yeah, I need to check back in with the tech team to see what our options would even be. Because the last I talked about it with them, they had done some work, and that it was kind of like, this is where we're at. So we'll see where we're at now, after, all that time.
Yeah, as Jennifer said, it's getting worse. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely bring that up. And if I get information before the next session, I will drop that in our Google group.
Okay.
All right, thanks, folks. I just wanted to show off the calendar. Yeah, the 26th. And then I'll drop in the, subject like I did for this one.
So of course, August 26th, did you see where the league is talking about it as Women's Inequality Day?
Ah, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
The number one thing I loved was that they had a social media toolkit.
For Women's Inequality Day?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the fact that they have the
I haven't looked at
images.
that email yet.
Oh,
I just
okay.
saw the headline. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Now,
dear.
But
did we get an email about that from the National League?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just
Okay,
like
I'll
in
have
the
to
last
check
24
that out.
hours. In the
I
last
like toolkits.
Yes. Yes. And if you don't find it, Maddie, just shoot me an email.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
I'll see if I can use it for the slideshow.
There you go.
Right.
May end up as an article.
I mean, that's not bad too, though. You're getting an entire, sometimes an article might be better. It gets more attention online since it has a public facing URL. The slideshow URLs, we try to
May
keep
or may
those
not
hidden.
see, yeah.
Yeah.
As Jennifer points out.
You might be doing your site a benefit there, making it an article.
You can do both, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I will. I mean, I
Even
always try
better.
to do the slideshow, but
Yeah.
sometimes I can't.
All righty, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks as usual. We'll
Thank
see
you.
each other in 2 weeks and talk before then.
All right.
thank you, Maurice.
so
Thanks,
much.
everybody.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
All right. Thank you.